The kitchen felt colder than usual. Elena stood still, her fingers wrapped tight around Ryan's phone. The dim light above the sink made everything look pale, even her own hand. A soft ping broke the silence, a new message. It was in Spanish. Our anniversary in Mexico next month. Can't wait to see you. Her chest tightened. Ryan was supposed to be in Dallas for work. She tapped the screen, her thumb moving almost on its own. The message opened into a full conversation, smiling pictures of Ryan and a woman she didn't know. They were on a sunny beach, holding hands. The captions under each photo called her my wife. Elena's breath came in short, sharp bursts. The only sound in the room was the slow drip of water from the faucet, like the world itself had slowed down. She scrolled further. There were dates, hotel names, words full of warmth and promises. Not to her, but to this woman, Sophia. A memory cut through her shock. 6 months ago, Ryan had knelt under the maple tree in her father's backyard, slipping a ring on her finger. He'd looked at her like she was his forever. She remembered the sunlight, the smell of grass, her father's proud smile. Now the ring on her hand felt heavier. The front door opened. Footsteps. Ryan walked in, wearing his usual easy smile, tossing his keys onto the counter. Hey babe, what's for dinner? Her voice came out low, almost a whisper. Who is Sophia? Elena grew up in a small brick house on the east side of Houston. Her father, Charles, had been a police officer for 30 years. He believed in loyalty, honesty, and keeping your word. After her mother died from cancer when Elena was 12, Charles raised her and her younger brother, Marcus, on his own. Life was strict but full of love. Charles taught them how to stand up for themselves, how to work hard, and how to tell the truth even when it hurt. Elena carried those lessons into adulthood. She worked as a paralegal at a mid-sized law firm, the kind of job that demanded long hours and sharp attention to detail. She was good at it. She liked order and knowing the rules. She met Ryan at a legal seminar 2 years ago. He wasn't a lawyer, but he was there representing a construction company in a contract dispute. He was charming in a way that made people stop and listen, tall, with an easy smile and a confident voice. He asked for her number during the coffee break, and by the end of the week, they'd already gone on 3 dates. Things moved quickly. Ryan seemed like the perfect man, attentive, protective, quick to make her laugh. He sent flowers to her office. He remembered small details about her day. He made her feel like she was the center of his world. But little things began to change. He didn't like it when she went out with her friends too often. He'd make comments about Marcus, saying he was a bad influence or too nosy. Sometimes he would get irritated if she didn't answer his texts right away. She told herself it was just because he cared. At first, Charles liked Ryan. He saw a man who looked out for his daughter. But over time, he noticed the possessiveness. The way Ryan would answer questions for her, or put his hand on her shoulder when she spoke, as if to remind her he was there. Money started becoming part of their relationship, too. Ryan's construction projects had unexpected delays, so Elena co-signed a loan for his truck and helped cover rent more than once. She told herself it was normal. Couples helped each other. Marcus didn't see it that way. He never trusted Ryan, though he couldn't point to anything specific. He'd tell Elena to be careful, and she'd get defensive, saying Marcus was just being protective. Now, at 32, Elena had built her life around Ryan. She imagined they'd be married soon, maybe have a child. She told herself this was her chance, maybe her last one before life passed her by. She had given Ryan her trust, her time, and pieces of herself she never thought she'd give away. Ryan froze when she said Sophia's name. For a second, he looked confused. Then his face shifted into a smile that didn't reach his eyes. She's just a client, he said quickly, walking past her toward the fridge. We're working on a beach property project together. Elena's hands shook as she turned the phone toward him, the wedding photos filling the screen. A client? You're holding her in a wedding suit, Ryan. You're kissing her. His smile vanished. His eyes narrowed. You've been going through my phone? His voice rose. You're just like your brother, always suspicious, always looking for something wrong. You think I don't notice? You don't trust me at all. Elena opened her mouth, but the words felt stuck. He kept going, pacing now, his tone sharp. You know what? Maybe I'm the one who should be questioning you. Snooping like this? That's not love, Elena. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. It was Marcus, calling because she had texted him earlier to say she needed to talk. She answered, and the moment he heard her voice, he said, "What happened?" She told him in broken pieces, and he was at her door within 20 minutes. When Marcus arrived, Ryan didn't bother hiding his irritation. You're not welcome here, Ryan snapped. Marcus stepped closer, his voice low but steady. Pack your things, Elena. We're leaving now. But Elena didn't move. She was still in shock, the floor feeling like it might tilt under her at any second. Ryan leaned against the counter, smug, as if he'd already won. Marcus glared at him, but didn't push further that night. 2 days later, at work, Elena was still distracted, barely able to focus on the contracts she was reviewing. Dana, a coworker and friend, stopped by her desk. "Hey, you might want to see this," she said, sliding a printed document toward her. It was a legal notice from the public records database. Ryan's full name, listed as the defendant in a case from years ago. The charge, bigamy. Elena read the page 3 times before the words fully sank in. He had been accused of being married to more than one person at the same time. And the woman's name on the record? Sofia Ramirez. Address, Cancun, Mexico. Her stomach turned. He hadn't just lied about knowing Sofia. He had never divorced her. All this time, their relationship, their engagement, had been a lie in the eyes of the law. Elena closed her eyes and gripped the edge of her desk. She knew she had 2 choices now. She could confront him directly and watch him twist the truth again, or she could quietly gather every piece of proof she could find and take legal action. For the first time, the thought of seeing Ryan didn't make her feel safe or loved. It made her feel like prey. Ryan didn't waste time trying to rewrite the story. The night she finally asked him directly about the court record, he leaned back on the couch and sighed, as if she were being unreasonable. "Yes, Sofia is my wife," he admitted, "but it's not what you think. We've been practically separated for years. She's vindictive, Elena. She knows how to make me look bad. I've been meaning to handle the paperwork, but life got in the way." He spoke slowly, his voice soft and warm, like he was comforting her instead of confessing. "You're the one I want. She's just part of my past." Elena listened, but her mind kept flashing to the photos, the messages, the way he looked at Sofia on that beach. When Ryan left for work the next morning, she sat at the kitchen table with his old bank statements spread out in front of her. She'd pulled them from the drawer where he kept unpaid bills. There were regular wire transfers to an account in Mexico under Sofia's name, amounts that weren't small. She also found hotel bookings in Cancun every few months, lining up perfectly with the dates he'd told her he was away for business. Her hands went cold. She showed some of it to Marcus that afternoon. He slammed his hand on the table. "That's it. We're going to Dad. We're ending this now." But her father's reaction was different, quieter, but sharper. "You need to be careful," Charles said, his eyes steady on her. "Men like him, they know how to make things messy. I don't want you getting hurt. But you can't ignore this, Elena. Not anymore." The tension grew in every direction. Marcus stopped hiding his anger toward Ryan, confronting him at a Sunday family dinner. "Why don't you tell my sister about the wife you still have in Mexico?" Ryan laughed it off, putting his arm around Elena in front of everyone. "Here we go again with the conspiracy theories. You've been poisoning her against me since the start." Later that night, he switched tactic. He stood in the doorway of her bedroom, looking hurt. "I don't deserve this, Elena. I've given you everything. And this is how you repay me, listening to people who hate me." The next day, he was the complete opposite, making breakfast, kissing her forehead, talking about honeymoon plans. He bounced between sweetness and rage so fast that Elena started questioning her own thought. Maybe she was overreacting. Maybe it wasn't as bad as it seemed. Then the call came. It was nearly midnight, and she was alone in the living room when her phone lit up with an unfamiliar number. The voice on the other end had a soft Mexican accent. "Elena," the woman asked. "This is Sofia Ramirez." Elena's stomach tightened. "I think you need to know the truth," Sofia said. "I have been married to Ryan for 7 years. We still talk every day. He told me you were just a business partner who rented a room in his apartment. He said you had nowhere else to go." Elena gripped the phone harder, her pulse pounding in her ears. "I'm sorry," Sofia continued. "I didn't know about you until last month. And you should also know, you are not the only one. I think there is another woman in Arizona." When the call ended, Elena didn't move. She didn't cry right away. She just sat there, staring at the wall, the silence pressing in on her. It wasn't until she got into her car an hour later, parked in the empty lot behind a grocery store, that the tears came. Heavy, shaking sobs that left her gasping for air. She pressed her forehead to the steering wheel, realizing the truth in one crushing wave. The man she thought was her future had been lying from the first day. Every moment she had trusted, every memory she thought was theirs, had been part of something he had made up. Her whole life with him had... Elena stopped trying to reason with Ryan. The night after Sofia's call, she sat in her apartment with her laptop open, creating a hidden folder on her work drive. She began gathering everything she could: copies of marriage certificates from the public records database, screenshots of text messages between Ryan and Sofia, bank statements showing money transfers, hotel bookings, even the old bigamy case file from years ago. She was careful. She used her knowledge from working at the law firm to make sure the documents would hold up in court. She spoke quietly to one of the senior attorneys she trusted, a divorce lawyer named Mitchell. He agreed to take her case and helped her prepare a civil suit for fraud and emotional damages. 2 weeks later, her father invited Ryan over for a talk. It was a Saturday afternoon, the kind of humid Houston day where the air feels heavy. Elena sat at the dining table with a manila envelope in front of her. Charles stood by the doorway, watching. Ryan walked in wearing his usual confident smirk. "So, what's this about? You finally ready to stop acting crazy?" Elena slid the envelope across the table. "These are for you." He opened it, and his eyes moved over the papers. The complaint for fraud, the evidence list. "You've got to be kidding me," he said, laughing without humor. "You're suing me? For what?" "For loving you. For lying to me," she said, her voice steady. "For taking my money. For pretending to be engaged to me when you were already married." Ryan's jaw tightened. "You knew about Sophia," he said quickly, leaning forward. "You've known for months. You just didn't care until now." "That's not true," Elena replied, her fingers gripping the edge of her chair. He turned to Charles. "You see what she's doing? This is all because her brother's been whispering poison in her ear." Before Elena could answer, her phone buzzed. It was a text from Mitchell. "Sophia just called me. She's willing to testify. Says she has proof he proposed to another woman in Arizona last year." Elena read it twice, then looked up at Ryan. "Sophia knows about Arizona." For a moment, Ryan's face froze. Then the charm was gone. His voice dropped low, sharp as glass. "You think you can ruin me? You think I'm just going to sit here while you tear my life apart?" He stood, his chair scraping hard against the floor. He stepped toward her, and for the first time, Elena saw something in his eyes that made her blood run cold. "Sit down," Charles said from behind him, his voice calm but firm. Ryan ignored him, leaning closer to Elena. "You don't know what you're getting into. You'll regret this." Charles moved fast, stepping between them. "That's enough. You take one more step toward my daughter, and you won't like what happens next." Ryan's mouth twisted into a sneer, but he backed away. He grabbed the envelope off the table and shoved it under his arm. "This isn't over," he said, then walked out, slamming the door so hard the walls shook. Elena sat there, heart pounding, but for the first time in months, she felt something new in her chest. Not fear, not doubt, but a quiet, solid sense that she was no longer under his control. The trial took months. Ryan showed up in court with a new lawyer and the same old smug attitude, but the evidence was too strong. The marriage certificate from Mexico, the money transfers, Sophia's testimony about their ongoing contact, and the proposal to the woman in Arizona. Even a former coworker of his came forward, saying Ryan bragged about keeping his options open in different states. When the verdict came, Ryan barely reacted. He was found guilty on multiple fraud-related charges, and the judge ordered him to pay damages. Sophia's divorce was finalized that same week. She walked past Elena in the courthouse hallway, gave her a small nod, and whispered, "I'm sorry for everything." For Elena, it wasn't about winning. It was about finally being free. She started therapy, something she had always told herself she didn't have time for. Week by week, she began to understand how Ryan's lies had shaped her thoughts, how his shifting moods had kept her off balance. The guilt she'd been carrying started to lift. Marcus was by her side more than ever. They went for Sunday breakfasts, just the two of them, something they hadn't done in years. Sometimes they talked about Ryan, but more often they talked about their mother, their father's retirement plans, and the future. Work became a place of purpose again. Elena threw herself into her cases, earning praise from the senior attorneys for her dedication. She applied for a promotion to case manager, something she'd been too distracted to do before, and got it. She found a small apartment in the Heights, with wide windows and wooden floors that creaked softly underfoot. For weeks, she decorated it piece by piece, choosing colors and furniture that made her feel calm and safe. A soft blue couch, shelves lined with books she loved, a kitchen table she could sit at without the weight of old memories. One evening, her father came over with a housewarming gift, a framed photograph of the maple tree in his backyard, the same one where Ryan had proposed. But in this picture, it stood alone in the sunlight. As they hung it on the wall, Charles turned to her and said, "Loyalty is only a virtue when it's deserved." Elena smiled, and for the first time, the word loyalty didn't feel heavy. It felt like something she could choose. It was a bright Saturday morning, and the coffee shop buzzed with quiet chatter and the sound of steaming milk. Elena sat at a small corner table, her laptop open, reading through a legal brief. She sipped her latte, the sunlight falling across her hand. The barista, a young man with a warm smile, brought her a refill without asking. "On the house," he said, leaning slightly closer. "You should let me take you out sometime." Elena smiled, kind but distant. "That's sweet," she said, closing her laptop. "But I'm good." She thanked him and went back to her work. Her voice played in her mind, calm and sure. "I used to think love was about holding on, about fighting, no matter how much it hurt. But now I know, sometimes the bravest thing you can do is let go." She packed her things, sliding her papers neatly into her bag. As she stepped outside, the warm air wrapped around her. The sun was high, the sky clear. She took a deep breath, feeling the weight that had once pressed on her chest completely gone. Her steps were steady, her head high. The city noise hummed around her, but inside she was quiet, free, grounded, and stronger than she had ever been. She turned the corner, disappearing into the sunlight. Hey besties, thanks for watching till the end. If you enjoyed Elena's journey from heartbreak to freedom, don't forget to like, share, drop a comment, and subscribe for more gripping stories. See you in the next one. Her friends invited everyone except her to their girls' trip, so she booked the seat right beside them. You won't believe what happened next. Bye.